Good morning, good morning, good morning. Red light, green light. Remember Uncle Bill, Engineer Bill? I grew up with the program. I grew up with the program, the director of programming. We interrupt this program. We interrupt this broadcast. We interrupt your programming, right? The TV set, the remote viewing. You know what remote viewing is? You know what a remote control is on a TV set, right? An audio visual. What is an avatar? AV. What's AV? Audio video. Avatar. Tar is goo. Mama's goo. Sentient goo. Like Mother Earth goo. Goo codes. Mathematical codes. Mathematical instruction sets. Math. Physics codes. Codes. Number. Alphanumerical numbers. So I was thinking of a Lemurian light that I used to hang out with here on the Big Island, which was a Kanaka Mahole. Ka, na, ka, ma, ole. Ole. See the image? Ole. Right hand path. Ole. Lead with the right foot. Ole. He skate. So you realize that the format in which alphanumerical, what are called characters that are put in sequence, represent energy. So in other words, we would be using different language or different formatting codes of language codes, which are energy codes, which are fire letters. So Lay and I used to play around with this stuff because you realize what a record is. Record. Magnetically recorded torsion field movie players. So what are you doing? You're coding the movie that you're playing in using alphanumerical coding, formatting. You're formatting the movie. For matter. For a tetrahedron. For we're formatting the matter codes of the reality that we're experiencing in a simulator. How many different simulators are running at once? You don't want to go jump into a simulator, like using your consciousness, which is your energy, what you become aware of in a simulator, like the shuttle simulator. You want to go simulate flying a space shuttle in another simulator? That's what they're doing. They're simulating the simulator of a space shuttle. So that's a virtual world. So that's not a real world. That's just a simulator. Like training simulators. They have a big training facility up in, I believe it's the United States Marine Corps training facility up near a place called Sonora Junction, which is off 395 between Nevada, just south of the Nevada border on 395 going into California, where you can go up from the Sonora Junction straight up over the Sierra Nevada mountains. Beautiful up there. Unbelievably beautiful up there. You drop down a place called Kennedy Meadows. Beautiful place to go hang out, right? Where there aren't any towers up there. I hung out there for about a week on the Stanislaus National Forest, all by myself, although you know that you're not alone, but there wasn't any bipeds running around that I could see on the visible light spectrum, right? Phase in, phase out, phase in, phase out. Cloaking devices, right? Phase conjugation. So I was playing around with little letters, if you will, that represent energy, like what a tech operator is. If you were living 1,000 years ago, back during what age was that? Now we get into age, AG, right? AG, agriculture, AG, A, and letters represent numbers, A1, right? So you look at the Masonic symbol with a G, and what is that? A compass to draw circles. Now we're back to circle of light, law of spheres, center point of a cross is perfect balance, 0 ohms between minus/plus. What do you experience next? That's a plus, one more. And then you get into imaginary numbers, which is complex number space. So numbers are imagined. So before there were numbers, there was what? Energy. So energy are numbers. Now you're putting the energies in some form of sequence that represent codes, the coded matter. of what you experience on the visible light spectrum. And you can realize the precision through which events occur, because consciousness is energy, which is highly intelligent, right? So what is the biggest driver of the highest intelligence? The creative mind, right? So what drives the highest creative mind? Love does. So we used to mess around with these compartmentalized letters and numbers and the way that they're formatted, because we love to put things in nice little boxes and compartments in which we can pull that record up, right? Record keeping. That's what actually sunk the Nazis, but it didn't really sink them in terms of losing the war, because they didn't lose the war. They simply moved from Germany into the United States. But they essentially try and control the whole board, which is the whole AI board game. So they're AI gamers, otherwise known as tech operators. Tech operators. There was a guy that I saw yesterday on the visual information screen whose identity was tech operative. I'm a tech operator. Oh, you're a tech operator. Okay, so you're into technology and you operate in technology. I can relate to that, because I think about software as an operating system, and is that technology? Tech? Okay, so now we get into language based on the time frame in which you understand what the language and how it's defined, because you're experiencing what the words mean in energy. So 1,000 years ago, during the pre-industrial age, right, which would have been what, back during the days of the Dark Ages. Okay, so did they have the word technology back then? Were they using technology? Yeah, they had technology back then. The word technology did exist. But if you'd have mentioned to them back then, unless you went back in time with a cell phone or just went back in time and said, hey, you're a geek, they'd look at you and go, what is a geek? Well, it's a G, an E, and a K. Okay, so that represents energy. A geek. Okay, a geek. Well, when I was a child, long before I heard that word in what we used to call lingo, language, we used to make up all kinds of letters and combinations to express what we were experiencing, and thus we created a different language. So we were always playing with their language, because we throw the rule book out. Rule-based functions, computer-based functions, which is formatting, which is language, which is alphanumeric formatting of translating the arguments between one computer and another. So if you don't understand the language, then you're not going to understand the codes. Now we're in an Navajo code talkers. So you realize how spirit and energy using alphanumeric formatting can do what? Code repair. Right? That's really what it is. Which are sacred circuits, which is circuit repair, which is software repair. Right? To restore, because you have the codes. Right? So you realize this was all about software, frequency, vibration, experiencing reality, streams of reality in a torsion field movie player with your consciousness, right? So a toroid, the Earth is a toroid vortex. So you look at the galaxy, you see the shape and spin of the galaxy, right? So I was thinking of a word about tech operators, and then you realize, well, dial zero. See, in the olden days, when I grew up, if I wanted to get a hold of somebody, you dial the operator. That means dial zero. Oh, so dial 0 ohms. What happens if you dial 0 ohms? Well, now you're at the pathway of least resistance, because you know the water worlds want to spread as much love as they possibly can through the light of living spirit that is in it. Yeah, which is least electrical density. So you realize there must be something to do with density. Density, like compression. Dense. See, in the olden days in the classroom, in the way in which a teacher would, how would I put it, this is where they use trauma in order to, you know what a self-correcting tape is, right? What we call auto repair, autocorrect, right? Autocorrect the text in the alphanumeric formatting. If a child misbehaved or did something wrong in a classroom, the teacher would put the student, this is a young little boy or girl, in a corner So that now everybody's sitting basically in a square in a line instead of a circle. See, when you're sitting in a classroom, and if you're going to sit in a classroom where everybody's going to share, holding hands together, heart to heart to heart in a circle, everybody could see everybody else. That's eyes to eyes, soul to soul, spirit to spirit. That's why they arrange the chairs the way that they do in their public classrooms. There is a method to their madness, because they're mad, which means they're not sane. That's obvious. You know what a psycho pathway, that's called the mental field. Those are electronic thoughts. AI is all mental. Mental pathway, electronics, electronic number games, electronic alphanumeric games. So you realize it can't spin data, visual information data, faster than zero. Right? Just can't number crunch that much. In other words, it can't number crunch eternity. Right? No. So you know what a tech operator is in modern parlance. So this becomes the terrain in which you're dealing with between the mind's energy, the capture of the mind's energy, or if you will, groupthink, which is hive mind. Right? Order followers, which means they're following the orders, the instruction sets. So when this child in a classroom is sitting on a seat, was over in a corner, so that all the other children in the classroom would see this child sitting all by him or herself with a dunce cap. It was called a dunce cap. Dense. You're dense. So the word was you're stupid or you're dumb. To belittle and humiliate the child. That's an enormous amount of trauma. Okay? That's a crime. That's a teacher committing a crime in a classroom. Okay? That's not what love is. A father and a mother's love, when a child experiences eternal love through the father and the mother, then that child is learning through love and not fear-based, trauma-based mind control. Because now that child is going to require healing. So the truth of the matter is that children were going to their schools in order to experience trauma and what we call fear-based programming. And they use the endorphin kick as the means to which reward you for what they put in your memory, which is the programming of your circuits, which is what gets held in RAM. That becomes the future that these architects plan your future to become, which is another movie set. Because you're going to build the movie set because you're the slave batteries that build that Truman Show. That's right. And then when we start quantifying and doing a quantitative, qualitative assessment of the Truman Show that is created, we realize the feedback that we're getting as a result of our behavior to build the future that we experience, which is toxic. So you can measure that in what happened to the ozone layer, what's happened to the ocean, and everything that gets harvested. Everything gets harvested. Fish, trees, grain. Just look at the landscape. We're in an energy harvesting system, which is called a system design, like plumbing. Putting together a plumbing system or putting together a planetary software system in which it's energy harvesting of all the batteries through the biometric scanning of the consciousness field in order to maintain itself of what it's aware of and energy off of us. That's a virus. That's a virus in any computer. That's a virus in any supercomputer. That's a virus in any planetary system. Okay. Now scale that up to the galactic level. Scale it up to the intergalactic level. Scale it up to the universe level. Right? You can graph that using log scales. I did that on one of the things that I did. You ever seen flames? Fire, a tetrahedron, Light a fire in a campfire, circle of light, circle of firelight, right? You see the flames. That's a graph in a visual information field, in a visual information mathematics field. Or as what was his name, Terence McKenna, that worked with Rupert Murdoch, who was into the morphogenetic field structure of communication between software programming, right? Software operating systems that are all connected to each other as communication platform antennas. And then you graph the log space, which are log scales, which are scalar waves. So just like you see fire, right? That's why they were using fire as a weapon against humanity. Through the United States Forest Service, by the way, which is the U.S. Department of Agriculture, right? Through the Pentagon. Pentagram, 5-star gram, the weight of the gram, the weight of the star. Eastgate, the weight of the reality, which is the density. So if you want to experience more light, you experience less density, right? Tech operators, Singularity University, Google, right? YouTube, just other addictions. So anyway, it's a beautiful day. I just went outside grounding myself to the big rock here, Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, Kilauea. There's 2 other volcanoes. I can't remember their names, but this is the largest shield volcano. Shield, your shield. The planet Shield, the largest shield volcano on planet Earth, right? What's a shield volcano? What's a shield of an arc energy field? Right? Tech operators. Yeah, I know what a tech operator is. Dial 0 for 0 ohm, buddy boy. Right? The games they play, chutes and ladders, red light, green light with Engineer Bill. Engines of creation. The engine is a motor. Motor drives. How fast is your drive motor? Right? What are you running on? Carbon, silicon? What is your motor running on? Are you crystal drive? Crystals and radios? Remember crystals and radios? Frequencies and crystals? Spiral currents. Zip up the pole. I'm in a happy mood, can you tell? Yeah. We love you all. We love you all. We love you all. We love you all. And every living cellular organism experience itself in a water world. Water worlds. We are the water. Living spirit in the water. Living spirit in the fire. Living spirit in the elementals. Living spirit in the wind, the great living spirit of Mother Earth. Yeah. Raising it up. Experience more photons. Photons as in take a photo. ISO, the shutter speed. How fast are those magnetic circuits opening and closing to experience a higher vibration? You want to be faster than something that's artificial because artificial is not real. It's artificial. A simulator, a SIM card. Have a great day. We love you all. Bye now.